Everybody sing, everybody dance. Lose yourself in wild romance. We're gonna party, caramba, fiesta, forever. Come on and sing along.
All night long, all night. 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 All night long, all night.
Democrats are set to take control of the U.S. Senate, House, and the White House.
This will go down as one of the most progressive administrations in American history.
God willing, everything is on the table.
You now can pass things without a filibuster threat.
Oh, you'll regret this, and you may regret it a lot sooner than you think.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
Yeah. Welcome at last to the 50th Ruthless Variety Program. I will say that might be the best intro we've done to date.
I mean, Duncan, voice of an angel. I'm really excited about this episode.
The sensual nature of his own backup.
When this was basically pitched by Holmes, he was like, you go to like a 30th or like 40th, anniversary party, and there's balloons around a dance floor with a strobe light. Guaranteed, this song's getting played.
Absolutely.
100%.
And this is our 50th episode.
It's like a very unofficial official celebration song, because I never remember, I'm that deep into like the party at that point that I don't remember what the occasion is. But whenever you hear it, it's a great party. You hit the dance floor all night long.
It's immediate conga line.
Yeah.
And it's not just like one of those that sort of like meander slowly through. I mean, there's kicks to it. There's a lot of energy behind that conga line.
Yeah. No one stays in their chair when that drops. And
No.
I mean, honestly, that's this episode. It is first and foremost, it is a thank you to our wonderful listeners. We are at 50 episodes. 50 episodes.
I mean, honestly, Smug, when we started this thing, I swear to you, I thought maybe we'd do like 5 or 6 and get to the election and high five each other and be like, hey, man, that was really fun.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it kind of exploded. And then if anything, it got better. Like in the new year, all of a sudden people wanted to start to come on.
Yeah.
We started to have serious discussions in addition to the program.
I mean, the guest list is serious. Like, I don't want to step on any toes or hurt any feelings, but I think right now, we are the number one podcast on earth. Not just like on the conservative side. I think pound for pound, you do not get a better variety of information, news, entertainment, and high caliber guests than here.
And more importantly, what throws weight? You can talk all day to a bunch of people who are not really listening. The people who are listening to this program are doing stuff.
Exactly. And I mean, I will circle right back to that point as our esteemed White House press secretary says, and it is all because of the listeners. Thank you so much to the minions, the support out there, like the numbers that, these episodes keep putting up. It's because of that support that it's become just like a must visit stop.
Yeah. I mean, it's super funny, Smug, and I'm not going to reveal the people who've invited us to come speak to their organizations, but it's funny. I mean, the people who are listening right now it'd be kind of blown away at the people who've done it. But the point is that they recognize that not only is this a program that gets to grassroots conservatives, it gets to everyone, right? I mean, there are producers, they're listening, the opposition is listening. All this stuff is happening. We're all having this community right here, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. And we really appreciate more than you will ever imagine how much your support means.
And that's why, so when we set out to put together what we wanted in the 50th episode spectacular, we said, you know what, folks, this is going to be all candy, all rocket fuel, no spinach. We're not giving you any Brussels sprouts. You're not going to have to sit through and learn something or engage yourselves.
No,
this is 100% the episode.
All candy.
You crack open a couple beers, pour yourself a nice drink, and just enjoy. We are here simply to entertain.
All night long.
100%. This is the pure entertainment episode, top to finish. It's all frosting, like not even no cake, all frosting, man.
So let's start, Duncan, with where we're at on the Foldy fundraiser. We'll all recall Foldy Smug's what are we, assistant?
Yeah. So and this is another great thing our producer and partners always remind us is you want to explain everything, because our audience has grown so much that it has gone beyond just folks on Twitter. So Matthew Foldy, who is my personal assistant, and he has put together this charitable effort that we mentioned on the previous episode. So I met this gentleman about, I want to say, when did I meet Foldy? It's been a year, 2 years now. Originally when he was at CLF, esteemed super PAC, he reached out to me and said he had a couple ideas, how to rouse the conservative base, and haven't looked back since. So basically he's the right hand for me personally. Anything I need to get done, he helps accomplish. He's a tireless young man, comes from a great family. But the one downside is this guy has, saying it's a mop of hair would be to do it a kindness.
He's a Zoomer.
Yeah, he's one of these young fellows who doesn't think you have to look respectable at all. So he has this like shaggy hair that, it's just horrific. It's truly horrific. He's out of control.
He's simultaneously a whale of a guy.
Yeah, great guy. And that's also why I hate it so much. It's like, when I see someone like that on the street, I'm like, there's one of those threatening hippies, I've heard so much about.
So we made him an offer. We basically made him an offer, and we said,
you made him an offer, Duncan.
I did. Correct. I made him an offer.
I feel like you've sandbagged the poor kid, and he's going to get into this.
Exact opposite is true. Hold on. Let me lay out the facts here. This is some fake news. So I was like, look, Foldy, there's been some chatter on Twitter. People want you on the pod. We get it. We'd like you to come on the pod too. Here are our stipulations. We'd like you to cut your hair for your own good. It's a disgusting mop, and I feel like it doesn't do you justice. You're a nice young man, and we'd like to have you cut your hair. Number two, we'd like you to raise some money for charity. And so, we set up this GoFundMe page that benefits Feeding America. Great organization, great cause. And I told Foldy, I was like, Foldy, look, if you raise $5,000, you can come on the pod, you get your hair cut, and we raise, good money for a good charity. And he's like, you know what? Make it 10.
Oh, dude.
He said that.
He did. He had a lot of faith. And right now, we plugged it on the pod on Thursday when it launched. It's almost to $5,000 right now, but the goal's 10.
That's impressive, though.
He set the goal.
I want to say this.
We tiered it. We tiered it.
Correct.
We tiered it. So 5K, he still gets on the pod. The only difference is I cut his hair rather than a professional.
So the whole stipulation was for Foldy to get on the pod, he has to hit these benchmarks, $5,000 or $10,000. But the stipulation is that $5,000, Holmes cuts his hair, right? At $10,000, he cuts his hair. He at $5,000 he gets on the show. $10,000 he gets on the show. $10,000 his hair is cut by a professional with Foldy's interest in mind. At $5,000, it's Holmes cutting the hair with just like the audience's entertainment in mind.
And we gave him a week, right? We gave him a week. So technically, this thing's cut off Thursday at midnight.
And I want to also stress, for the folks who think absolutely just like keep it at 5,000, don't give more. The charity in question is Feeding America. They support food pantries across this country. Right now, I don't need to tell you folks, a lot of Americans have lost their job. A lot of good people are struggling. A lot of folks for the first time in their life. Right now, I'm seeing statistics I just checked the other day. The majority of folks visiting food pantries are looking for assistance for the first time. That's how bad things have gotten. And Feeding America does a wonderful job. Their rating, if you look at Charity Navigator, all of that is absolutely stellar. And for every dollar, they provide 10 meals. So I checked just now, Foldy's at $4,920 raised.
Wow, really? He's $80 away from making it on the pod.
5,000. So I mean, we're talking about that is 49,200 meals are already going to be provided to Americans in need, which is such a wonderful thing to begin with. Which is why I want to get him to 10.
Listen, man, thank you, Foldy, for doing it. Thank you, Smug and Duncan, for your recommendations on the specific charity. We're going to do more of this for different charities, but this one is particularly an important one because of all the reasons that Smug talked about. But man, I'll be honest with you.
You want to cut it. You want to cut it.
Yeah, right?
You jerk.
It's tough when you set it up as a tier like this.
I got to cut it.
Yeah.
And I want to vote if we can get the minions to weigh in on this. Right now I'm stuck between like a really severe mullet, like a very severe mullet, probably with like highway lines on the side of the head.
See, that's the thing. Is that the problem with these youngsters is they probably think that's neat. You know, they probably
I don't
think
know, man. Cool. I mean, my intention is not to make it neat, but the second one, which I know will not be neat to the youngsters, is I'd like to just maybe just cut male pattern baldness into the top of his head.
Would that be something?
You know, just do like the full horseshoe on the top, like leave the sides and back, like trim it up maybe.
You know what? And my suggestion is you get clippers and you put like a number 3 or a number 4 on there, and just his entire head, absolute even cut, absolutely level all over, front to back. So it's like carpet sitting on his head.
Pet.
There's no layering. Exactly, it's like a chia pet, man.
Or you could do like a Lloyd Christmas from.
It would look so terrible.
Like a bowl cut.
Yeah.
Wait. These are good ideas. So we could do the chia pet straight across, all same layer.
All sides.
Yeah,
because
clippers,
like if you look at the
guard
photo of this guy, I mean, his hair is like, it's like a foot long anywhere on his head. So you just go for like a number 4 clipper, completely even all over. Zero layering. I mean, no sideburns or anything. It's just like one piece of carpet just sitting on his head, dude.
I mean, the ultimate indignity to that, Smug, is that the man will walk out into public and think people that he means it. Like it's not, he didn't get punked. Like,
that's the thing.
Be like,
people like, he's just an asshole. Like, this isn't a joke, like a mullet or something. Oh, he's trying to be clever. It's just like, this guy's just an asshole.
Duncan, the Lloyd Christmas thing is also good.
I think it would be good. I think it would be good for a nice like Instagram post,
Right. So we're sitting in a chair. We're taking votes. This is a good interaction. If you've got an idea, one of those ideas, if you got something else, put it out there. I'm partial to male pattern baldness. But the humor in both the number 4 and the Lloyd Christmas, it speaks to me.
I hope he doesn't have to do any of those. I hope we can get him to 10K.
Okay. Well, you're such a great guy, Duncan.
Well, I'm just saying it'll be in the show notes of this episode. It's on our website. It's on Twitter. Donate.
All right.
The Holmes doesn't appreciate it.
Oh, no. It is what it is. It's great. So the next piece that we're going to talk about is obviously what's happening with the hack bracket.
It has been, let me tell you, it's been an absolute shocker to me personally, the way that these brackets have turned out. Like I've said many a time, Dowd has been on a tear over the past month with his takes. He's already gone. My bracket is busted in so many ways. Who thought Root Bar would get so hot during the tourney?
So hot
that the Chinese Communist Party would cite him? You never know. Hack Madness, folks, is just that much. So again, to step back and explain. So Hack Madness, we have 66, 64 after the playing games. liberal hacks in a March Madness style tournament. You've got folks like Brian Stelter. You've got Fredo, a.k.a. Chris Cuomo. There are 4 separate divisions, and all of them are voted on Twitter, #HackMadness.
Yeah. So we're now at the Elite 8. And for those of you not on Twitter, let me reveal the Elite 8. There are 4 brackets. The establishment bracket out of Georgetown. The matchup is Bill Kristol and Chris Cuomo.
I mean, that is just like Clash of the Titans, man.
The number 5 seed and the number 2 seed. It's been a wild bracket. Tubin knocked off the number 1 seed, Matt Dowd. Obviously, masturbation has been a huge issue there.
Yeah, huge issue.
That people have gravitated towards. It's gotten him out of there. But honestly, I think the smart money at this point is on Cuomo because of all of the New York issues. But I'll be honest, if you've checked out Bill Kristol's Twitter feed, man.
I mean, I'm convinced that Bill Kristol came out in favor of DC statehood simply to advance.
I know. I've been dying that we haven't had.
I think that's why he took out Maddow.
I've been dying that we haven't had a King of the Hill for the last 2 weeks because it's 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
His Twitter has been just bonkers.
Well, we hold this tournament so sacred. We don't want to like put our thumb on the scales. We want to let the people's voice be heard. But it's the run they have been on is incredible.
So the Way Too Online bracket out of Brooklyn has Aaron Rupar against Chris Saliza, a 4 against a 2.
And that so what's notable is Rupar just took out Taylor Lorenz. And again, we talk about getting hot at the right time. She peaked like just a little bit too early. A little bit too early.
Right before the tournament.
Right before the tourney. So she got herself a 1 seed. But the thing is that seeds don't matter now. Seeds do not matter. It's this, we've got the Elite 8. You have to win to advance. It doesn't matter what seed you are.
And also, she's blocked most of the voters.
That is a tough situation. That hurts her. That way to hurt yourself.
Right. She's blocked most of them. So the fake news bracket out of Atlanta is the defending champion, the potato himself, Stelter. And he's going up against I think a little bit of a surprise from some of us, Joy Reid, MSNBC, the 3 seed.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing is, so for Reid to get here, she has taken out Glenn Kessler, who has just been at all times, he's an absolute hack, but especially lately, he's been out of control. She took him out. Then she took out Chris Hayes, right? Fellow NBC primetime anchor. And now she just took out Don Lemon. Reid is just like, I mean, I did not anticipate it. My bracket is busted in so many different ways, but I did not expect this. But the matchup against the potato himself, the defending champion, there's a reason Stelter's the number 1 seed, folks.
Yeah, he can't be beat. He can't be beat. He's so tough. But here's the thing: if he can be beat, the liberal activists division out of Seattle has Jen Rubin of the Washington Post against Anna Navarro of CNN. I mean, powerhouse. The cream rises to the top. These folks are ready to go.
If you'd have asked me a couple weeks ago, Navarro as a 3 seed, I'd be like, no way, man. Paper Tiger, overrated. I mean, she broke my bracket totally. But the fact that she's gone through like Max Boot, like we're talking about some serious people. Schmidt. Like you look at the people in this bracket that have been left in their wake for this matchup. The liberal activist division was no joke.
A lot of pent-up anxiety there. She has worked her way all the way to the Elite 8. Listen, one of these people is going to be the champion. I just love Hack Madness. I can't. Yeah. I don't want it to go away. I know we're now within a matter of days before it's over.
Duncan, when does the Elite 8 go live?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow. Oh, amazing.
So when this goes live, it'll be live.
Excellent.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. So that's excellent news. You can vote on that today, I guess, and get to the Final Four. and we're we're going to keep putting together special programs around the Final Four and everything else. But candy is what you get today. Candy is what you get.
Nonstop.
So let's go to Hollywood Hen, because a lot of people love the Hollywood Hen segment, and we'll see what we get. Hollywood Hen, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad to be here for the 50th. This is really exciting.
Well, we've got some positive feedback on your performance.
I'm so glad.
And people enjoy the Hollywood segment, and they really enjoy Hollywood Hen. And so we thought, how best to celebrate here, but to give you an opportunity to give us a little update. And then also introduce a segment that we just introduced today, which is to try to get questions from some of the minions.
Yes.
So give us the Hollywood.
So I have a couple updates for you all and our listeners to put on everybody's radar. One of the big stories that's been talked about a lot in the pop culture world has been Demi Lovato's new documentary, Dancing with the Devil.
Yes.
It is a YouTube series. It's a 4-part series. The first 2 episodes are already on YouTube, and the third one debuts today, and the fourth one is next week. I've watched the first 2 already, and let me tell you, there are some eye-opening stories that Demi Lovato shares about her life.
Wait, hold
really?
on.
Is this like standard Hollywood? Like, oh God, I got famous, now I drink. Is it like?
No, this girl has been through a lot, and as our listeners may or may not know, she suffered a near fatal overdose in 2018. And the first 2 episodes were dealing a lot with that, and the doctors who treated her said she was about 5 to 10 minutes from death. If her assistant had not come in and called 911 when she did, Demi Lovato would not be here today. So I think one of the things that was, interesting might be the wrong word, but one of the things that was eye-opening was just how bad her overdose was. You know, a lot of us are like, oh, a celebrity overdosed, they survived, that's Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
But she overdosed on a combination of heroin and what she thinks to be fentanyl-laced oxycodone.
Oh my
and
God.
So in the documentary, she talks about all the physical and health ramifications that happened, which I had no idea, and I don't think a lot of people did unless they watched this documentary. But she suffered 3 strokes.
She had a stroke?
She suffered 3 strokes, multiple organ failure.
Oh my God.
Brain damage. Pneumonia via asphyxiation. She had a heart attack, and when she woke up in the hospital, she was legally blind.
So this is not your standard deviation, celebrity OD. This is like Winehouse level addiction.
What did she take? What did she take?
It was a combination. So in the documentary, they call it aftermarket drugs. I don't know what that means, but it was a combination. What she thinks was a combination of heroin and fentanyl-laced oxycodone. Codone? I don't know how you pronounce that.
Wow.
But her vision is still impaired to this day.
Really?
So she's not able to drive. And she says even when she is like pouring herself a glass of water, sometimes she'll miss the glass because her peripheral vision and her up and down vision is still so off. So there was some, it's a
respect.
It's a
you know what? Sometimes when I'm pouring myself a drink, I can start getting it all over the place too. Is that part of the night?
I just want to flag for our viewers that this is a lot of what Hollywood is talking about at the moment. And she's been all over the place, and watching this documentary, my mind was blown. I mean, you think things are bad, but then when she talks about it, you're like, this is really, really bad.
Well, so here, this is a controversial take I have on this. As you know, Hollywood Hen, I have a controversial take on this. But,
yes.
You know, my sense is when you're a young, and she was like a child actor, not actress, but child singer, right?
Yes, this is a good call. So for people who aren't as familiar with Demi Lovato, she was one of the Disney Channel stars that kind of came of age with Selena Gomez, Miley Cyrus. She had her own show. She did the Camp Rock movies on Disney, but then launched into her own real legitimate singing career. And the girl has pipes. Like, let's be clear. She has Christina Aguilera level pipes. It's not like she's some pop gum singer. Like, she is a very good singer, very talented.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But as we've seen, like the very best of the best celebrities, dating back to the beginning of celebrity, like the absolute, James Dean of them kind of celebrities, they all have this like fatal flaw, right? Where they just become, our depiction of rock stars. Like they're just total drug addicts. They're sex addicts. They're all this thing. That's kind of how I like my stars.
That is how
it's controversial. I know.
I know.
I don't mean like I don't want anything bad to happen. I don't want anything bad to happen. But like when I hear about all these people that go out to Hollywood, they make it big, and then they're like sitting around with their friends drinking tea. I'm like, come on, man.
Liven it up a little.
I don't really think you can make like music that'll last beyond your lifetime unless you're under the danger of like ODing at any minute.
100%.
Like the story of how like Fleetwood Mac recorded Rumors. It's like an all-time binge, and they all hated each other and were cheating on each other. And then you get this album that's just like all-time great. I think that really is part of the recipe.
But I think it's kind of art in general. Like you have to be a little bit tortured to be brilliant, right? And like these people that are squared away or like, oh, I method act and I, go home at 4:30. Like, I just don't believe it, right? It's not, you have to have something kind of crazy. So I hear this story about Demi Lovato and I'm like, she's kind of like an Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, she is. And they made
I hope that doesn't happen to her, but.
So they made the point, before her overdose in 2018, she had been sober for 6 years. She had gone to rehab before, and I think 2011, 2012. And she was in rehab then for her cocktail was cocaine and Xanax. And so one of the questions that they asked her was, how do you make this leap from cocaine and Xanax to heroin and crack and these other drugs that they talk about in the documentary that she discusses? And one of the things that I thought was most interesting, though, is she and her former sober companion talk about how people who relapse almost always relapse to a harder level drug.
Really?
Yeah, which I thought was just kind of a interesting tidbit.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
She was one of these Mickey Mouse Club kids?
Not Mickey Mouse Club, but yeah, she was on Disney Channel. Camp Rock. It was a little bit not of our time. We're kind of past that.
Well, so here's the deal. Like, addiction's real. Addiction's terrible. Like you got to take all that stuff seriously. It's hard to differentiate addiction from just self-destructive behavior when it comes to a lot of these celebs, because they just go completely over the top with it, right? So is Lovato like an addict, or is she just like a hardcore partier?
So she said, okay, so she was sober for these 6 years, and she was also recovering from an eating disorder. So she talks about in her documentary that actually what led to her overdose in 2018 was that she had not gotten her eating disorder under control. And it was her eating disorder and the control that her former team put on her during these 6 years that then kind of led to her dabbling back into, the substance abuse.
I'm just cracking up because that was the best take, is like, so this lady who's like taking cocaine and what's the
Xanax.
Cocaine and Xanax. Is she's just like the party, or does she have a problem?
I didn't mean it like that. And I didn't know that she had an eating disorder. Now I feel terrible.
Well, no, you were talking about her substance situation.
I was.
Yeah.
But she's clearly got a lot going on.
She's got a lot going on. But so this gets to your point, Holmes. This gets to the most controversial part of the documentary, because now she came out and talked about how she is back to drinking and smoking pot in moderation.
That's the most astounding part. That's the most astounding part of all of this, is that
that's the lesson learned.
She's had the eating disorder. She's been into rehab. She has OD'd. She had multiple strokes. She had a heart attack. She was legally blind when she woke up. She still can't pour water in a glass, but she can pour herself a beer.
I mean, that is some epic shit that like you have like a triple stroke heart attack and you're partially blinded and you get out of the hospital and you're like, it's time to pour a drink.
I would like to say she has been very careful in disclosing that because she does not want to lead other people astray who might be dealing with substance abuse. But her management, Scooter Braun, who also is Justin Bieber's manager, also, and Ariana Grande, also manages Demi Lovato. And he came out and said that Demi knows that he does not agree with her take on
covering his trail to be like, hey guys, I'm not going to take any responsibility. I'm just going to take my cut of the earnings. But like, if she croaks,
I'm going to stick with the political correctness, as nobody can possibly criticize me.
To me, that's part of it. Is like these Disney kids is like, what the hell are these parents thinking? Of all the places on earth to allow your child to go work or to live, Hollywood is probably last on my list.
Oh yeah.
Like what goes through a parent's mind that's like, you know what, we're gonna take my child to Hollywood, which is like basically the gateway to hell.
Has there ever been a child star that's made it out and you're like, oh, that's a well-adjusted human
being?
So
I was thinking about this. You know, the only person I can think of, Candace Cameron.
Oh yeah, she's great.
She's literally, and like semi the Olsen twins, but like Candace Cameron for sure was a child star who somehow beat the odds.
But in fairness, what a wholesome show Full House was.
True. You know what? Although Bob Saget is kind of dirty. All those guys were a little bit dirty.
Thing. You know what? I'd love to have Bob Saget on the program.
Oh my gosh. I'll reach out. I'll see if we can make that happen.
Okay. All right. Listen, that's a great update. Do we have any Spears stuff out there?
Yes. I'm so glad you asked. So we do have a quick update on the Free Britney movement. Last week, okay, well, I feel like I need to back up a little bit. For people who don't know, Britney Spears has a conservatorship in place in her life, which means she has people running her life. She has a conservator over her personal being, which means all of her day-to-day decisions is controlled by this woman, Jody Montgomery. And then she has people in control of her financial and business decisions, which is split between her dad and a trust. So last week, she asked if Jody Montgomery, who's in charge of her personal conservatorship, could be put permanently in place, because previously this woman had just been temporarily in place, taking over for Britney's dad. Mm-hmm. So through her lawyers, they asked that Jody Montgomery be in charge of her conservatorship permanently to kick her dad, Jamie Spears, out of that role. Which is kind of interesting. But the very interesting part in her petition was that at the very end, there was a line that said, this change doesn't stop Britney from the right to petition for termination of her conservatorship in general. So
okay, so it's not overtaking her her larger claim here. It's just trying to
edge her. Right. You can tell she's trying to edge her dad out.
Yeah.
And so it seems like this is the first step to edge her dad out of this side of her conservatorship. And then hopefully it seems like she's going to continue to petition for this thing to be ended at some point, terminated at some point.
And to be clear, Hen, from your perspective, should this conservatorship end?
So I support the Free Britney movement. There was one person made an interesting point in the documentary, though, that said we don't know what we don't know. Yeah. And there has got to be something. There's got to be something in those files that the judge sees that we don't know about that has led them to rule to keep this in place for some reason.
Yeah, you're right, because just from the public now, it doesn't seem to make any sense.
Right.
But there's consistent rulings over a series of years. So it's like, what are we missing?
Right. And so, but my whole thing is, okay, if she can do a Vegas residency for X amount of years, then it would seem to me that she would be able to, she should be in control of her own life and her own business. Now, if her dad and these other people are saying she's not mentally fit to be in charge of her own life, then having her perform like a show monkey is like cruel and unusual punishment. Like the two things don't add up to me. Like if she can perform in Vegas, she can have her own life. If she can't have her own life, then no one should be putting her to perform in Vegas.
Yeah, totally. That's right. Another child singer, by the way.
But I think that's the thing is I support the conservatorship here is like, okay, so
of course you do.
What would end up with is she'd be shaving her head again, swinging golf clubs at windows. Listen, this way everyone stays safe. She drops a new album every couple of years. It's a win-win.
It's on brand. This is very on brand for Smug because it's just like when he was defending Wall Street short sellers. Of course, he's going to defend the conservatives.
Well, no. It's but somehow he's conflated Britney Spears with Tiger's ex-wife with the golf club in the windows.
Right. She didn't. I could have swore Britney Spears.
No, it was the umbrella.
It was the umbrella. Yeah, you were close.
Are you?
She's a menace.
And are you proud that I remembered the umbrella?
Yeah, I'm very proud you remember. That's great, Dunks. Although I'm not shocked.
I love it.
Duncan stays on top of these things.
He is.
So there's gonna be more to watch, but I feel like we just all need a little more information. Obviously, the conservatorship saved her life in a lot of ways in the beginning. Does she still need it to the extent that it was put in place over a decade ago? Probably not. I mean, I don't think she should be able to walk on the beach and not have to ask somebody to walk on the beach, in my opinion. But I would just like to know what's in those files that keeps this thing cooking.
Well, I know you're going to stay on it until we find out, Hen. That's a fantastic Britney update. So what else do we got going on here?
So also now for our 50th episode, we have asked people to submit some questions because everyone wants to get to know you all a little bit better.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yes. So we have a little bit of Q&A for you guys if you're ready and up for it.
Yeah. I'm a little nervous about it, but not nearly as nervous as Smug is.
Yeah, Smug. Are you ready to reveal some of yourself?
Yeah, let's hear this. Let's hear these questions.
Okay. These were all submitted from our listeners. So we really want to thank everybody who submitted questions. We got tons of questions and we tried to get some of the top 10 that were submitted. So here we go. This might be for Holmes and Duncan. How did you guys get into politics?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, look, serious answer is I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do with my life. I went to school at Arizona State University and I wasn't a terribly good student. I wish I could tell you it was an academic decision to go there. I was the furthest thing from like a college Republican, but I went home and my dad, who was super into politics, suggested that I would go out and intern in DC. And I landed on my internship, moved in, got ready to actually I hadn't even gone to my first day yet. And 9/11 happened. And, it kind of, it's sort of trite, but it really changed everything for me in terms of, it gave me some purpose and some reason for trying to get into public service and do a little bit of whatever I could to, support the things that I believe in, the community that I grew up in and everything else. And so, yeah, I mean, long story short, that's basically how it started for me.
Nice. Duncan?
I guess my first entry point to politics, I was volunteering on Mitch Daniels' gubernatorial race in Indiana in 2004. And I went to college and, I double majored in journalism and political science, moved out to DC, and kind of got started working at Freedom Works, conservative grassroots nonprofit, sort of in the nascent stages of the Tea Party movement.
That thing was a powerhouse when you were working there, by the way.
I appreciate that. And Holmes knows better than most, because my job most days was to make his life very difficult.
Took it on the chin on a daily basis.
Driving emails and phone calls into the McConnell office, on everything, on Obamacare and everything else. So, that was sort of my entry point into politics. And then I went onto the consulting side. My background's more like digital advertising and I'm a digital consultant for political campaigns. And that's how I got hooked up with Holmes during the 2014 McConnell reelect.
She didn't ask for your resume, Duncan. She just asked how you got into politics, for crying out loud.
It's good to know.
It's amazing.
And the rest is history.
It is pretty interesting, though. I mean, Duncan does raise a good point. I mean, the reason that we initially got together and have now become such good friends and co-hosts of this program was because we were fighting each other. I mean, he was literally trying to burn our house down, and I recognized a lot of talent in what they were doing to us, and we ultimately hired him on our campaign. And it's I guess
that's a nice fun fact.
Yeah, I guess the rest is history.
We still fight, though. I mean, but we're just on the same team now.
Yeah, and you're wrong all the time now, so that helps.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next question. Actually, I don't even think that I know the answer to this exactly, but how did the three of you all meet?
I think the first time, and Smug, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the first time we all met was at one of your happy hours. And the reason why I really remember this is because it was the night before my wife went into labor with our son. And we were at the bar. And
you're at the bar all night. Great.
We were at the bar all night. We were at the bar, and it's just so good. Luckily, when I got home, my wife and I went to bed and then woke up and, got to go to the hospital.
Amazing.
But what I remember about it most is, Smug, I gave you a Cocaine Mitch shirt signed by McConnell, and Amy McGrath had just gotten into the race.
Wow, good times.
Oh, was that the night that we totally dusted her up on the Kavanaugh thing?
Absolutely crushed her on Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Absolutely crushed her on Kavanaugh. And another part I'll never forget in this is Carl Hulse from the New York Times is on this panel with John King. And, Carl says something like, these McConnell guys, they're ruthless. And John King replies, and he goes, and they're sarcastically funny, ruthless. And then they show this meme we had making fun of Amy McGrath as like the golden retriever in front of the computer, where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I kind of feel like in that moment, Ruthless was born as an idea,
I kind of agree. I mean, that's a great boy. I forgot almost all of that, but that's totally true. I mean, of course, Smug and I and Duncan all followed each other on Twitter. I mean, we knew each other virtually for years, right, Smug?
Correct. So we were part of, I guess, the same right-wing, vast right-wing conspiracy that exists on Twitter, network of conservatives who talk and you can appreciate the witty folks on there. So finally, I sent that invite when I was hosting one of my off the records in DC, and I think it was perfect right from the start. We're all very similar dudes, very much the tongue-in-cheek conservative. We're not the type that's going to sit down and read you something from the Federalist Papers. I think we like our politics with a sense of humor, and I think that's the recipe we got going here.
Yeah, totally.
So how did you guys come up with the pod?
Well, so that was really sort of the genesis of the idea, was basically just like, the humor between, us in sort of the McConnell campaign, Smug, some other folks, where we really felt like we could take some of that humor, post campaign and sort of direct it, beyond just the election, right? And so, when we came up with Ruthless, I'll it's just so funny. It's like you call your podcast Ruthless, and you roll it out during a Supreme Court fight, and the libs just went crazy because of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I mean, the best part about it is we all agreed it was kind of like a Rorschach test for DC culture, right? Like you call it Ruthless, you roll it out during a Supreme Court fight, and then you just watch what happens. Everybody assigns you motives immediately, right? and like the media matters of the world. And this is where you can tell like who's a left-wing hack journalist and who's not, is that like all of a sudden when they're writing about Ruthless, if they include a paragraph like named after Ruth Bader Ginsburg, like we've never said that ever on this podcast. We've never even addressed the issue, but we rolled it out in a Rorschach test to see how everybody would deal with it. Anybody who includes that in a story about us is automatically, like a tool of media matters.
Completely.
Like that's what they do.
Well,
Right? It's like they tell on themselves.
Well, look, I think we knew we were going to get that reaction from some quarters of the liberal, media, especially the very online people. But it's like, these are the same people who sell prayer candles of RBG, who sing Mueller Christmas carols and make cartoons about Michael Avenatti. Like, I don't give a shit what they think.
Right.
Okay. Like, I don't care. I'm sorry. Like, you people, it's easy to make fun of you. I'm sorry.
Yep. And making fun is what we're doing here.
And one thing finally for the record on your point, Holmes, about they named the podcast after Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They always focus on the logo, the double stacked Ruthless or whatever. Yeah. Like it's Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It's like, that was like an homage to Ruthless Records and Eazy-E.
Yes, Duncan. Yes.
Like it was NWA.
Yeah.
It's like the Straight Outta Compton logo was what we were going for there. Just to clear that up for everybody.
That's great. That's some good intel as well. The next question we have was we had from a lot of listeners. This was a very popular question. Why do you all pronounce program as program?
This is actually a great question. I don't know how that happened.
I can't say it without laughing.
I can tell you the answer to this. So I've had Ashbrook, our buddy and who works on the program with us. He and I have had a long-standing inside joke about the affectation of like elitists, right? And how they pronounce seemingly obvious words with some weird pronunciation, right? Like program. I mean, nobody says program, but if you notice, there are a few people that are always very wealthy, right?
Is that what it is?
They're always very detached from reality, and they it's like a cocktail party circuit type thing, right? Where
that's hilarious.
But it's not just program. Like I can't think of them in front of me.
Like theater instead of theater.
I mean, honestly, just listen to John Kerry. Just listen to him talk. Like if you just listen to John Kerry for 10 minutes, there will be 7 or 8 words that pop up that you're like, what? That's not how you pronounce that. Like I remember during his campaign in 2004, remember Genghis Khan?
You know what the tell is you ask people to describe what's the name of that exercise bike? The Peloton. Peloton.
Peloton.
If they call it a Peloton, Coastal Elite.
But anyway, so the reason that I guess I just started doing it is just because it's a hilarious mockery of people who do it. And I feel like our entire program is a hilarious mockery of those people.
I also, for me, it's kind of like, you guys ever seen like Super Troopers? When they do this thing where they like, when they're arresting someone or they're stopping somebody and trying to give them a ticket, instead of saying now, they say meow.
I love that part.
So it's sort of a game they play where see how many times they can say meow instead of now. And so, that's how program is to me, is like you try to see if you can like wedge one into an episode. I've dropped a few in an interview. I did it with Representative Miller Meeks, dropped a couple programs just to like, get it in there.
I actually have a problem. So I was on Fox this weekend and I have a problem saying program.
Ooh.
Because it came up.
Outstanding.
I had to say program in the interview and I was like, program. Like I could tell I screwed it up.
Oh my gosh, that's worth it. Okay, that answers that. Our next question to keep this going is, why do you all hate the West Wing?
Oh man.
Go Smug, go.
So, where to start with? I think the main thing to say is the difference between like broken brainworm libs who love The West Wing, they thought it was serious. They saw it as like a drama when the show is actually a comedy. Like, you're supposed to laugh at how stupid these people and their like attempts at policy and how they take themselves so seriously. You're supposed to laugh at that, right? It's like Sorkin's only comedy. But people see it and they're like, wow, that's the kind of like Lib see it and they're like, that's the kind of president I'd want. It's like, no, like the takeaway is supposed to be this guy's a moron with a moron staff, and you're supposed to laugh at these people.
And it's a perfect example of not only libs, but journos, right?
Totally.
Journos see this world and of politics entirely as a theater production.
Yep.
Entirely. Right.
Yeah.
Where it's all just, it's about how you feel and how you express yourself and discuss the very important matters of feelings that we all feel about each other. And like, ultimately none of that shit matters at all.
No,
none of it. Right.
Well, it's like they all think that creating this like facade is what's most important. Like they think the West Wing is an accurate depiction of politics when Veep was the most accurate depiction I have ever seen.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the problem with West Wing is that its view of how, politics happens is that the Democrats, who are obviously the right people who are in charge in that world, they get everybody in a room, and the Republicans come in there and they're holding their heads down and they disagree and they're bad. And then the president makes this rousing speech and suddenly they're convinced, and that's how policy gets done. And it's this same view that President Obama.
No, I was just going to say that, dude. So I've been in the room for this, right? Yeah. So when I was McConnell's chief of staff, I've been in the room for this. I watched this happen. Obama literally thought he was Jed Bartlett.
Yeah.
Literally. Like you would talk about negotiations over these big things that needed to happen. Like, they're pretty consequential deals. And he would spend 15, 20 minutes giving you a speech as to why he's right. When in reality, like, none of that shit matters at all. All you have to do is figure out what it is that the other side feels most strongly about, what it is that you feel strongly about, and then try to broker a deal. Like, he couldn't do that. It was a Hollywood production for him.
Right. That's why we hate West Wing.
All right. I would like to say that Ainsley Hayes was a good character, and I'm going to call her out as the one part of West Wing that I enjoyed, but otherwise agree with you all.
I'll just say Ainsley was a rhino and a traitor.
But she had really pretty long blonde hair.
Well, that's a good point.
I've had Josh Lyman show up in my Twitter timeline. He's been.
Are you serious? Really?
Yeah, no, he was. I don't remember what it was. It was some like anti-Trump screed that he showed up with, but I'll take it.
Amazing.
Yeah. Also, lest we forget, I take Rob Lowe too.
Rob Lowe.
And he had some scandalous storylines on there. I just want to throw out that.
I'll say this about Rob Lowe: he's an intriguing individual. I'd like to talk to Rob Lowe.
Yeah,
he's lived an absolutely fascinating life.
Totally
right. He was like in the thick of it in the 80s, and that's like time to be in the thick of it.
Oh yeah,
the thick of it.
Do you think he ever went to the Viper Room with like River Phoenix?
Oh,
100%.
100%.
Hell yes.
Also, to bring it full circle, he tweeted Demi Lovato during her overdose and or when she broke her sobriety, trying to encourage her to get back on track. It was actually sweet. Yeah.
Nice.
He seems like a good guy.
Yeah, he does.
Okay. Next question. What is your favorite episode of Ruthless?
I'll go first. Without question, it's the Thanksgiving episode.
That was a good one.
And the reason for that is because we had zero preparation, like literally zero preparation. Smug, I think you were in Egypt.
That's right.
I think you were in Egypt. Like, basically what we did is have a cocktail and press record. And we recorded
under the craziest of circumstances. Now I completely remember. It was completely insane. I don't know how we got that episode done.
I don't know either, but basically we just mocked what we imagined to be like the conservative way of just handling your relatives. And I just loved it.
It was amazing. Yeah, wow. I completely forgot. That was a nightmare. Like, the circumstances to record that episode were a nightmare, but the result was complete magic.
Yeah.
Wait, that was when you had to go to like the bomb safe room.
The bunker, yeah.
Yeah, the bunker.
It was like some rager. I think it was like a wedding in Cairo that was so loud. I kid you not. It's louder than any concert. I've been to a My Bloody Valentine concert. This was louder. That's insane.
But because the Democrats were not in control, there was no threat of drone strikes.
No wedding.
There you
drone.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. What Smug? You have a view?
Man, that's a tough one. Well, my memory is short, but I want to say it's probably the Ted Cruz episode because I think that shows a couple things. It was courage on Ted's part. It just shows his fearlessness. And I just encourage that completely among the elected folks on our side and conservatives in general. No matter what you do, the left is going to try to create a narrative to attack you. So you just got to be fearless and get your viewpoint out. And that's all you can do. And the folks who, I'd say lesser senators, lesser elected officials would have cowered were they in his situation, and he just came out and spoke his piece. Good for him.
And it was a huge success. I mean, he was able to have self-deprecating sense of humor about the whole thing, and by week's end, the whole literally he was 48 hours removed from landing from Cancun. He shows up on Ruthless, and then by the end of the week, yesterday's news.
Yeah, it's like they had a journo drive up to take photos of his dog. It's like
that was a good episode. Dunks, what's yours?
Probably January 5th, honestly.
Ooh,
that was my favorite. The one we did before the certification, the day before the certification of the presidential election. I think I probably had like 5 or 6 bourbons and just like went ham on Sidney Powell and Rudy and this dumb scheme to deny gravity and reality that they were going to certify this election. I thought it was a dumb idea then, and I think the last few months has proved out that it was stupid.
Yeah, well, given the fact that Sidney Powell's primary defense is that nobody could possibly have believed her, I think that's a pretty good leg to stand on. Right. I agree. I mean, look, that was an important episode. I don't know if it's like my favorite episode. It's an important episode because A, it was the truth. B, it showed when you're a listener to Ruthless, you're not going to get what's popular in conservative circles. You're going to get the truth, right? It was not popular at the time for us to say what we were saying about that whole situation. In fact, we took a lot of shit for it, but it was the truth. And that's
my serious one. I guess if you were going to ask me like my the one I thought was the most fun, it's got to be Wall Street Smug, where we just made fun of Smug for defending all the short sellers and we defended Robinhood. That episode was so much fun to record. I think we just pressed play and we were like, all right, let's go at it.
Totally. That was good. And I would be remiss if I didn't also mention the Ruthless Radio Theater, which
all time. That's right. The voting machines.
Wow, that was great.
This next question that we have, I'm very interested to see what your answers are going to be. Who is your favorite lib or dem?
Can I go first on this?
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro.
You knew he was going to say that.
I don't know if that technically counts.
Just let him go. Just let him go. So mine is Rahm Emanuel. And the reason it's Rahm Emanuel is not because I agree with anything that Rahm Emanuel's ever done, but because he operates ruthlessly.
He truly does.
This is a guy who wields a knife. Everything that he's involved in, he cuts people up. He is incredibly aggressive. He plays to win. I guarantee you that his answer to the third question is he loathes losing more than anything else on the face of the planet. That's just the way this guy ticks. Mm-hmm. And although I disagree entirely with almost everything that he's ever done, I respect the kind of way he goes about it. And so if I have to admire a dem, that's probably him.
Dunks?
Well, then I got to go the opposite of Holmes, and go with Ryan Grimm. He's a reporter for The Intercept.
I follow him.
Yeah, he wrote a book recently called "We've Got People," where he basically like charts the rise of left wing populist politics from like Jesse Jackson all the way to AOC, and he's just a very interesting guy. I think he's a good writer. Like you were saying, Holmes, I mean, I don't agree with much of what he says politically. And he actually has a chapter in that book where he just like shreds Rahm Emanuel for basically like, running a lot of moderates or centrists who could win in purple districts, and sort of how that undercut, their political project because, some of these, more corporate Dems or, neoliberal Dems, took a lot of big money in the process. So I think he's really an interesting guy. So that'd be my pick.
Okay. And then last question to wrap up. What tips would you give to young operatives getting started in politics?
Ooh. Well, look, you got to understand that it takes a lot of work and a lot of time to get to the point where you're reaping the rewards for everything that you're doing. And I always tell every young person, if you look at DC, there's a ton of really young people who are just out of college, and then a fair amount of people who are, old. There are not a lot of people that are like mid-20s to mid-30s. And the reason for that is because it's freaking tough. It's really hard. You get to a point where if you're really good at what you do, you're absolutely better than your boss at it, but you can't say it, right? You just have to keep grinding. You just have to keep working on it. And there's no real like mechanism for you to just do anything but just hard work. You just completely try to do your job better than anybody else can do it, whatever that job may be. You don't have like illusions of grandeur. You don't try to be something you're not. You just go in and try to basically do your job better than everybody. And if you do that over a period of time, DC rewards you pretty quickly. Politics rewards you pretty quickly. It's a little bit like finance where Smug grew up, where you can get to the top of the hill pretty quickly, but you have to endure some terrible stuff. I mean, and I don't mean terrible in the sense that it's like inhumane, although the work hours might be. It's just, you think that you've proved more than you have, and it breaks most people.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Most people go away. They can't take it. They want something that's more dignified. They want to go start a family. They want to, do important things that DC is tough to afford, or politics is tough to afford. And so you've got to, if you want to really make it in DC, if you really want to make it in politics, you have to take a longer view and put your head down and be willing to take 10 years of bullshit to show up on the other side.
Mm-hmm. That's a good answer. I have to ask actually one last question that literally just came in our DMs. Bourbon drink off between the three of you until only one man is standing. Who would it be?
Wow.
Ooh. Maybe we should do this.
I think we really should do this.
I think we should.
It's like, how do they think we record these episodes?
I mean, I got an old man liver. I'll take my chances, frankly.
Yeah. I mean, if we're drinking bourbon, I get to like really stellar levels. See, here's I'd say it's like a problem for me is when I'm truly like 3 sheets to the wind, I'm not like a loud drunk or a boisterous drunk, or I want to fight drunk. I'm an even more like relaxed.
You're funny as hell.
Boomer. Yeah. I mean, you can't tell that I'm blackout, but because I'll be sitting in a chair, just like having a great time of being like half a bottle of bourbon deep.
A tremendous drunk. That's a headline.
Yeah. Formidable drunk. I'm never the life of the party, but I just enjoy my time when I'm there.
That's right.
So
I think this is a challenge, right?
Yeah, this is TBD.
Absolutely a challenge.
Okay, so to be determined later.
Okay. All right.
That's it for all the questions.
Those are some good ones.
You picked some good ones. I like it a lot.
They submitted some really good questions. I hope everybody enjoyed.
Hollywood Hen, everybody. Thank you for joining
Round
us.
of applause.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so that was a great segment. Thank you so much, Hollywood Hen. The one thing I forgot to mention, the big news, in my opinion, right now in Hollywood, is movie theaters are back, folks. News broke that this weekend, Godzilla versus King Kong made over $100 million globally. People are going back to the theaters. It's happening, folks.
Those are the box office receipts?
Yeah. So the number, I want to say these are ballpark numbers, folks. PolitiFact can check me. I think the number one film of 2020 was Wonder Woman, and that made something like 35 million in the box office. I mean, it's a ghost town, you know? Like, there's a goddamn epidemic going around. You can't exactly go to the movie theater. But now, thanks God to the vaccine and such, folks are going back to the movies. Godzilla vs. King Kong opened internationally. It drops here on Wednesday, and I have my ticket because I could not be more excited to see a gigantic nuclear lizard fight a gigantic gorilla.
The complexity of Smug always befuddle. I love it. It's my favorite.
It's a melange of interest, man.
It's my favorite. He can be an absolute. Well, you know what? I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to psychoanalyze on the pro.
Are you telling me you're not excited to see this? Like I have tickets opening, not even opening night. I had the 5:30. I'm not even waiting for dinner time, man. I got the 5:30 to go see a gorilla and a lizard fight.
It's in keeping with your boomer lifestyle that you're doing the early bird special.
Oh yeah. I mean, I got to be in bed by 10:30, man. The hell if I'm going to like see a film late at night. Are you crazy?
I love it. In keeping with your boomer lifestyle, Duncan, you've plugged in your microphone and it's frozen your screen.
Oh, it has.
But like, I guess I just don't understand, Smug. Here's the thing. I'm not into Godzilla and Dungeons and Dragons and all that. But
well, here's the thing. So,
but
I feel a Godzilla film, it doesn't matter your interest, your age, any of that. Godzilla appeals to people because it's just about like animals fighting, you know? Like, so I had, oh Christ, who asked me this? I think it was like an Instagram question or something, but you ask a guy, this is a great drinking game. What animal, unarmed, what animal do you think you could take in a fight? So one-on-one. And it's not like the animal is sleeping, so you can't like pounce on it. What's the top animal you think you could take?
Dude, that's a great question.
Because that's all this is like, I want to see a giant gorilla fight a gigantic fire-breathing nuclear lizard. And I will, I'll pay top dollar to see that. But like, I mean, if I were an eccentric billionaire, I wouldn't be trying to like, go to the moon like Elon and Bezos. I'd just want a zoo and just see like who wins, man. Who wins? Gorilla, tiger, let's roll. I'd call over the squad. Let's see who gets this.
Animals. That's your thing.
I mean, here it's nature. It's nature in action, right? You're out in the savannah. You've got lionesses and hyenas fighting and such. I want to know who wins the fights. And number one, that was what I thought of is like, what animal do you think you could take unarmed? And you're not surprising it. It's head to head. The animal knows this is combat.
It's a good question, right? Because
you don't have a gun, you don't have a bow.
No, that's right. I want to know the ground rules. If it's just me and the animal.
I mean, I think it's fair to say like it's outside. So like if you find a rock or something, it's not like you have a bow or a gun.
Well, the existence of my thumb gives me an advantage to throw.
Yeah, you could throw.
Okay.
Because that's the thing is people are like King Kong could take Godzilla because he's gonna be able to throw shit and like make trees bats. That's nature, man. That's how nature works. So that's why this is just head to head. What animal do you think it'd take if you're out in like your standard combat field?
Well, before I get to that, which I think is an important question. I mean, animal to animal, Godzilla to King Kong. I mean, you have like a good question about whether like a pack of monkeys or hyenas can take a lion.
Yeah. I mean, that's straight up nature. So I can't remember what it was. Someone tried making this meme. It was on Instagram of like, this is me when I haven't eaten, and it was some like lioness roaring at hyenas. It's like, whatever, man. The actual interesting point is that out in nature, it's just mano y mano. There were like 5 hyenas who didn't know if they should go, and the lioness was like, should I go? That's how you know it's just like an even match, man. Because me personally, when I saw that question, what animal I could take, I think I could take a horse.
You think you think
one-on-one, I could take a horse.
That's bullshit.
Absolutely
bullshit.
The thing, horses are so fragile.
I don't believe that.
Anyone who's ever dealt with horses, they're number one, they're more expensive than a boat. They're the worst hobby to get into.
They're bigger than shit, Smug.
I mean, they're huge. But the thing is that you can move out of their way. If you hit a horse is toast, dude. They are not hardy animals.
One hoof.
Sure. I mean, but that's the thing is like the majority of these fights, like a tiger, 99% of a tiger is that first strike.
No, there's no way you're taking a horse. I don't believe it.
Absolutely. One kick to a horse's ribs, it's done, dude.
Okay, but if he knows you're coming,
but he doesn't. That's why humans have like
you're gonna sneak up.
That's
on
why
him?
we defeated the dinosaurs.
You said this was mano y mano.
No, but like you could throw a feint. You know, like I look like I'm going for I'm going for a jab, but
you're gonna just go up to an unsuspecting horse.
But it's not unsuspecting. This is already a riled up horse. The horse knows it's me or him.
No way.
What animal do you think you got, Duncan?
I mean,
no, I'm not
like
ready.
Maybe like a wild pig. Maybe I could like kill a pig.
I mean, come on, man.
You know, but a horse? I don't know.
I'm not ready for. Hold on.
How's a pig fighting back?
Let's not even discuss the pig. I want to go back to the horse. Smug is going to run up to an unsuspecting horse and kick it in the ribs. Which is the way he wins.
So easy, dude. Folks my non-coastal elites who've been around horses, who've been on ranches, you know those horses are soft, man.
I would empty my bank account to watch Smug lift his leg high enough to kick a horse into
if it's my life, man, I kick that horse. That's the thing. So like this is not like cruel. This is survival. Only one person walks out.
We're not advocating violence against animals. We're talking about
if it's me or the horse, man, I drop kick.
But there's a difference. Look. There's a difference between running in to a pen, a gate, and kicking a horse and then running out, then fighting a horse.
The other argument I
open land. You're in open field. There's no jumping out, and then the horse is contained to the pen.
See, my other argument is the other thing is that horses, shockingly, are very dumb animals, man. Like they are very easily fooled. I mean, like for hundreds of years, mankind has put blinders on these goddamn things and had them pull carriages for us. These aren't the sharpest tools in the drawer. You throw a little feint in there, you kick him in the ribs, and now he's done.
Oh my God. Unbelievable. The sport of kings reduced to the kick of the ribs.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Oh my God. Well, okay.
What animal you got, Holmes? We got pig from Duncan. I mean, come on, man. Really? You can do better than the pig. Duncan, I believe, could kill a more significant animal than a pig.
Well, people have talked about like monkeys and stuff, and there's no way you can beat a monkey because monkey is they have like 6 times as like baboons.
Yeah, monkeys will fuck you up, man.
They will kill you. I mean, there's no chance you can win that fight.
Nope. There was that case. I think someone had a pet monkey or something like years ago, and the monkey like ate their face. They had to get I think the first surgical face transplant was because someone had their face eaten by their pet monkey. But beyond just like the biting, monkeys, like you mentioned, they're like 6 times stronger than people, which is why, King Kong's got something in his favor.
And like, then you hear people talk about like, hey, if a tiger or a lion's coming at me, like if I just dropped
dude, they got you
on the nose, like that they would, that's nonsense. First of all, I'm not sure that even if you connected perfectly, you could stop them. But like I would say 99% of the chance that they're gonna take you out.
What owns is I want to say this is like a month ago. The New York Post had this story. I think it was the New York Post somewhere in like Southeast Asia. This dude was on a motorcycle with his wife and their kid riding home, and a goddamn like cheetah like pounced him, and he took it one-on-one, dude.
He took it?
He took it. The wife and the child were safe. He got off the bike. The cheetah, like he killed it, dude.
No, he like choked up the cheetah.
He killed it. He killed it, dude.
I'm not sure I want to see that video.
I mean, I don't think he has a video, but like that is
I'm not sure I believe
all time, like, men history of defending your child and wife while you're like motorcycling home to kill a goddamn cheetah hand to hand.
That's pretty. I mean, look, it's definitely a Medal of Honor. I will say, like, if I had to choose an animal, the largest animal that I could think of that I could take out on a 1-to-1 basis, if it was threatening me, like, look, I'm not interested in hurting animals. But if this animal was coming at me and threatening my family, I'm pretty sure I could take a donkey out.
You think so? I mean, that's fair. You know what? I'd say a donkey is just, lacking the confidence to take the horse. That's they're the same animal. Honestly, donkeys are probably smarter than the horse, man. Horses think their size, yields the world. No.
It is a self-esteemed issue. Horse is what a donkey is, right? They know they're not going to take you out, but they'll if you get behind them, they'll give you a big kick. But you can stay in front of them. I think you could probably take that thing out.
You know what? This is honestly why I love the show. Like, we can have Ted Cruz and Mitch McConnell on, and then it's just like, okay, man, 1-on-1, what animal? You're the animal. Who's it going to be?
We have one more issue to cover. One more issue.
And this is an important one.
Yeah. So the fake news is real. Duncan, I need you on this one because you're a connoisseur of fake news.
Truly.
And I've been a victim. And you were kind of the first to call out the fake news of this weekend. And I thought presented it in a way that was very easy to understand for everyone.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, Holmes is on Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace, and they say to Josh, this Georgia election reform bill will ban water at polling places, and Holmes basically is like, look, that's not true. This bill does not ban people giving water to people in line at polling locations. It bans political operatives. These are the sort of people who you walk up, if you've ever voted before, you've probably seen one of these people, and I have nothing against them, but they're standing there and they're trying to hand you a sample ballot from the state party, which tells you exactly how to vote or whatever. And, basically they were, using the ability to give you water or food or whatever as a loophole around an electioneering law, right? So this Georgia bill bans political operatives from handing out water to voters who are in line at polling
and food and candy and presents and everything else.
And the point isn't, that ultimately this is going to necessarily change their vote. It's that it's electioneering. It's not what we should allow around our polling locations. And honestly, it's annoying. It's just straight up annoying. If you're going there to vote, you're going there to vote. And so, Holmes mentions this. And lo and behold, there's going to be a fact check from PolitiFact. And PolitiFact puts up this piece, and it's just absurd. I got to pull it up. The writer of this fact check was first, she puts up what Holmes said. And I'm just going to go ahead and read what Holmes said. I've heard it a couple of times on this program that the idea that they've criminalized giving people bottles of water, they have not. What is in the statute, which is absolutely clear, is that they're preventing political organizations from giving people in line things, meals, water, what have you. Water is and should be provided at the polls for people who are standing in line. But that's the quote from Josh. Here's what she says. We have decided to fact check Holmes' statement that the Georgia law doesn't criminalize giving voters bottles of water. And what's really important to realize here, folks, is it's a sleight of hand maneuver. It's semantics. She's not actually going to argue what Josh said, because what Josh said is airtight, 100% true. What she's going to do is erect a straw man and say what Holmes meant to say was that it's not illegal to give voters water, which, of course, what this statute does is it prevents political operatives from interfering with voters in line. And so what she does instead is argues to that straw man and it chooses to be willfully obtuse so she can get the outcome she wants. And the outcome that she wants is to say Josh was wrong, mostly false.
It's, honestly, it's like if Josh had said only the military should have nuclear missiles, and then PolitiFact is like, this person claimed that no one should be allowed to have weapons. It's an absolutely ridiculous joke that these so-called fact checkers are pulling this. Like, what's his name at the Washington Post? Infuriates me so much. But PolitiFact is
Kessler,
really, but PolitiFact is really the worst offender of this, where they completely change the argument and what was said. Like, the bill specifies the reasoning behind it, and like political operatives can't take, or else, hey, I could be walking up and down a line with a carton of cigarettes, and be like, hey, buddy.
But the thing is, it's all an inside job.
Right.
I mean, the thing that we have to understand as political operatives who've been a part of this world for a long time is that the media just pitches each other. Right. And all of this is an attempt to preserve Democratic talking points.
Yep.
Right. So for those of us who do our homework, like, look, Fox News Sunday is an important show. Chris Wallace is an important guy. I do my homework when I show up at that show. I'm not gonna walk in. Look, there are plenty of conservatives I think are rightly critiqued by being unprepared for liberal arguments. I'm not fucking one of them, right? When I walk into a show like that, I called the governor of Georgia's office and I asked them explicitly, what is it that this law does? What is the media missing? What is Joe Biden missing when he creates the talking point that says that you ban water at the polls? Why is that right or wrong? And they tell me. All right. And so I show up and I give the answer on that. But immediately the media has to preserve the talking point. So they pitch the PolitiFact. And PolitiFact has to ignore the answer and concoct a new rationale for explaining why it is that my answer was wrong. Guys, this is a dangerous situation. Like, Trump's right. Right? I mean, Trump is right. These people are the enemy of the people.
The disinformation that, the absolute irony and hilarity is so many of these news organizations started their disinformation, reporter beat, but it's the media organizations that are pushing the disinformation. It is unbelievable.
Just imagine this was inverted, right? Imagine that the issue was gun control and a Fox News host said, this bill bans guns. And a host on that, or a guest on that show says, no, this bill doesn't ban guns. It bans a very specific gun. It bans the AR-15. Would PolitiFact say, mostly false, this bill bans guns? Of course not.
Of course not.
Of course not. Because that would lack all of the context around the piece of legislation. But that's essentially what they did to you, Holmes.
It is. But this is what our elected officials deal with. This is what the conservative movement deals with. So look, this episode's all candy. Here's one piece of vegetable that we need to consume. All right? Nobody should give a fucking inch to this kind of bullshit. Not an inch. Okay? Like, when they tell us that up is down and down is up, and they tell us the sky is not blue, you don't capitulate. I watched a number of Republicans when confronted with the question that I was asked on Sunday, say, well, I don't agree with that. I can tell you two things. One, they didn't read the statute. Two, they didn't take the time to try to defend their fellow conservative.
Yep.
We need to defend our principles. We need to defend our point of view. Folks, they're coming for us in every possible way. Do not give an inch. Do not give an inch.
And like I said, that's why the Ted Cruz episode is my favorite, because he was fearless. If I could tell one thing to any conservative, any Republican right now in this moment, be fearless. Be fearless. We know our arguments are sound. We know we're right. We're dealing with this insanely just not biased, is beyond even crooked, just this cartel media that is just pushing. Like, there was a story that CNN posted saying that, why is Joe Biden so popular? It's because he has popular positions. It's like we are dealing with that.
Yeah,
that's what we're dealing with. You have to be fearless, speak your truth, because we are on the right side of history.
Yep. And look, it's going to take a while, and it's going to take us sticking together, and it's going to take us not trying to divide us. You know, everybody's trying to talk about primaries. Look at the media. They're talking about primaries, Trump versus the GOP, like all these like separating events. Screw them. They're not going to define what we're doing here. Okay.
You know, I love that. And that's the whole idea, I think, that we had is as we described in Hollywood Henn segment, how we got to know each other. We come from a diverse background politically. But that's why we exist, is because right now, in this moment, more than anything, our side needs unity. Look, folks, you know, you have the mainstream media, you have Hollywood, you have the Biden administration, all walking lockstep.
Education,
all of them, the teachers unions. It's insane.
Teachers unions, the professors in every college. I mean, everything is against us.
And the thing is that, like, pointing out their hypocrisy of how, like, Biden's treatment is so much harsher than anything Trump did at the border. Just pointing out the hypocrisy is not enough, because the thing is that they don't care. The media has carried their water this far. You know, the only thing that we can do is unite. We have to band together, and we have to beat these people.
Oh, Smug. I love it. It's perfect way to sign us out of here in the 50th episode. Man alive. We have enjoyed every single one of these moments with you folks. We hope that we've been able to lighten your day a little bit and you know, make things as fun as we're having, frankly.
Yeah, 50 episodes.
50 episodes.
Here's to, 500 more.
Yeah. Congratulations to the whole team. There's a lot of folks who work hard to make this happen. Holmes, Duncan, McDaniel, Hollywood Henn, everybody who gets us here.
Ashbrook, Moderate Jeff, you name it. There's a ton of people behind the scenes, but I will say I'm very, very proud to be a part of this team and excited to see what tomorrow brings.
And last but not least, and most of all, to the listeners, thank you so much. Our numbers are absolutely bananas. We get so many stories. The stories I love so much is a guy who's at the bar having a drink after work, or talking to a buddy. It's like, what are you listening to? This situation in the news. This happened. What are you doing? What do we do? And they say, I listen to this podcast, Ruthless. The number of stories that I've gotten about that, because it's going to be us bringing in the folks who have been on the sidelines, that we're going to get back to power. And thank you so much to the loyal listeners for making that happen. So until next time, minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. Stay ruthless. We'll see you on Thursday.